I know there'll be some who wish we could move faster. As I said, we need to remain cautious, especially with students going back to class this week. And I know there may be some who say we're moving too fast. Now we want to be absolutely sure these positive trends continue as we move forward. And we want to do everything humanly possible to avoid having to go backwards. If that means pausing between steps for a few extra days, we won't hesitate to do so.
Capacity limits will be increased or maintained at 50% for a number of indoor public settings where proof of vaccination is required, such as restaurants, retail, gyms, and religious services. Spectator areas at sporting events, concert venues, and theaters will be permitted to operate at 50% of the usual seating capacity or 500 people, whichever is less. Proof of vaccination requirements would continue to apply in existing settings.
With the province announcing the loosening of COVID-19 restrictions as of January 31st, many business owners are looking forward to reopening their doors to customers once again. But for some business owners, especially those in the fitness and restaurant sector, the current capacity limits that will still be in place at the end of the month might be the difference between staying in business and shutting their doors permanently and going bankrupt.
With more reaction to the province's gradual easing of public health measures, we're joined by Marina Imperio. She's the owner of 9 Round Kickboxing Fitness, and Larry Isaacs, president of Firkin Group of Pubs. Good evening to you both. Thanks for being here. Okay. Marina, let's start with you. Last time we chatted with you on this show, it was the end of December. You mentioned you were worried that you were going to go bankrupt. How's it been?
I'm still worried. We still haven't received our $10,000 grant that was promised to us, and I'm supposed to open next week, and my rent's due in 10 days, and I don't have any money coming in. My subsidies still haven't come in, and I'm in the same, actually, I'm in a worse situation now because I'm yet another month behind in revenue.
Larry, as you know, the president of the Firkin Group of Pubs, you guys have several locations. I can't imagine what the overhead on those locations are, especially when you don't have the doors open to indoor dining. I want to get your reaction to today's news. Is it sufficient for you? How are you taking today's news?
It's been a very frustrating time, I would suggest, over the last couple of months, waiting to hear this news. I would use the term cautiously optimistic, but after listening to all the commentary today, we're not overly excited. We're not popping the champagne right now because there's still the opportunity for the government to pull the handbrake for the 5th time and close us down. I think people don't understand that we have to lay off staff all the time, try get them back again. Staff are moving into other industries. We've got a labor shortage. We have an increase in salaries now due to the minimum wage going up. We have product shortages coming over the border. The weather isn't great. We've lost cash flow throughout the winter, Christmas parties that we never had, New Year's Eve that we never had. So challenging is the best word I can use at this point in time.
And furthermore, to the staffing issues, Larry, I can't imagine how many staff members, whether they're bussers or waiters, who basically said, you know what, I'm just going to go look into another industry. If you were allowed to open at 100% capacity on the 31st, is there even enough staff that would be able to handle all of the patrons and customers?
Truthfully, we don't have the answer to that yet because we waited until today to get that news. So we've only started reaching out to all the employees today. Some haven't got back to us yet. You know, it's very, very tough on everybody. I don't think most people understand what it's like not to earn an income for almost 2 years. And I think people haven't got that clear, that even though we've had some subsidies, the wage subsidy was awarded by the federal government, but then they shut us down for 440 days. So we weren't able to use that wage subsidy. The rent subsidy that was given to us is some of the rent, but the landlords have already got their hands out going, we hear that you're opening up. You owe us $200,000 from the last 2 years that you're closed. Please pay up. We're saying, well, we're going to sell one burger. How do we get to $200,000 to pay you? So there's a lot of factors in play bringing the staff back. And they also are not trusting that we're going to be open long term. As you heard from Premier Ford, they'll pull the plug if they have to.
Marina, while Larry's selling one burger, if I remember correctly, you can have 4 people in your fitness class at a time. So even reopening, 11 days from now, does revenue from those 4 people keep the lights on?
You know, it's not just that. I don't think Doug Ford realizes the fallout that the fitness industry has to endure every time there's a mandate put in place, every time there is a restriction put in place, or when there's lockdowns put in place. So in the fitness industry, we do not have takeout or delivery that we can fall back on. We don't have goods and services that we can use to have a little bit of income coming in. When we're closed, we have zero revenue. So the problem with us is not just opening up with little people coming in. We're opening up having to rebuild our business, having to regain consumer confidence, and having to rebuild our reputation. Because once again, every time there are these restrictions and lockdowns put in place, it gives the consumer the idea that we are not a safe place to be in. So I'm starting from scratch every single time.
And one of the things we've talked about, and what a lot of people have talked about, is not only is there the pandemic of the virus, but there's also this secondary kind of pandemic when it comes to people's mental health and how many people are really suffering. And for many people out there, Marina, getting a good workout combats any of those mental health issues that they're dealing with. And I'm wondering, you know, what have you seen from a lot of the clients, and what have you heard from people who, you know, just can't get that workout in? They can't feel those endorphins going that at the end of the day make them feel happy and not depressed.
For sure. I've had a lot of my members reach out to me and asking me if I can do Zoom classes to help them keep moving during the lockdown. So what I did was I opened it up not just to my members, but to anybody who needed that exercise to help not just with their physical health, but with their mental health. And I gave that out at no charge.
Larry, this kind of comes as at a downtime for restaurants. While it's busy in Marina's, side of the world and fitness, people making those New Year's resolutions, typically excited to get back into shape for January. I know January, February tend to be the hardest months in the restaurant sector. So where do you go from here in planning for, according to the Premier, right now the date, and cautiously optimistic, I get it, March 14th, fully open?
Yeah, it's almost impossible to plan anymore because of this handbrake that the government has, that they keep on suggesting that if things don't go in the right direction, we're going to pull the handbrake again. It's extremely difficult to get the train out of the station and get moving because you don't have that security knowing that we can promise the staff the jobs, we can start advertising that we open and ready to go. And remember that takeout for us has never been that successful. You're paying Uber and all the other facilities taking takeout 30% of your income. So takeout hasn't been a solution. Staffing is a problem, and the advocacy from the government not suggesting that it's safe to go out is another reason that people aren't moving forward either. People are extremely frightened. So when Premier Ford says we're turning on the lights and the economy is booming, I would challenge that and say maybe for Costco and Amazon, but I don't think it's booming in small business at this point in time at all.
You know, Marina, I think Larry really nailed a very important point that, for many people who are watching out there who've been lucky enough to come to work every day, still get their paycheck, there are so many people out there that really haven't had a paycheck in a very long time. And a lot of people are at their breaking point. And I'm wondering, where do you stand in that regard? Because I can't imagine, especially when the fitness sector, like you mentioned, you don't have things like goods and other services that you can sell and deliver when it comes to things like takeout. How's your mental health doing? And do you have a breaking point? Is there a kind of a red line where you're like, I just can't do this anymore?
I reached my breaking point a long time ago. I was on a call actually today with the Fitness Industry Council of Ontario and with hundreds of other people in the same position I am. We haven't slept. I can barely eat. The worry that's on us every single day with the expenses that are accumulating, rent that's accumulating, our business loans that are accumulating, and we have zero income coming in. We have had our busiest season taken away from us. January is to fitness the way December is to retail. And we lost that ability. All of us who are hanging on by a string, we're waiting for January to hopefully recover the damage and the losses that we've endured the last 2 years. And that was taken away. And now we're opening at the end of January in a 50% capacity with people still afraid to come. We're still in that same boat, but even worse because we've accumulated even more debt.
Marina, we're up against the clock here, but I want to ask you, what has kept you going?
My family. We've invested everything we have in these 2 gyms. I have 3 kids, and I'm taking care of my elderly mother who's 84. And this is what's keeping me going. I need to make this work. I do not have a choice but to make this work. But the only way I'm going to do that is with the help of the government, with more subsidies, and with the help of the media to push that exercise is going to help public health, not hinder it.
And it helps a lot of people. Marina and Larry, I wish you guys all the luck. Looking forward to January 31st.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.